And welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast. Now, during the break, we actually got an update on the Betfred World Club Challenge. It turns out it will not be kicking off at 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Time because of the weather.
Yes, something that the Pommies aren't used to, called the heat.
Oh, they are familiar with the heat, but apparently they think 30 degrees is a heat wave. We just call that a nice summer's day.
Oh, well, I think it's supposed to be more than 30 degrees.
So, in accordance with the NRL's heat policy, where if it reaches a certain condition, you have to have drinks breaks or even push the start times back to ensure player safety. So, it will now be kicking off at 10 to 7 in the evening, which is about, I think, 7 in the morning, roughly?
I'm not 100% sure. But put it this way, just back on the weather, 37 degrees is supposed to be the top for Penrith, so that's why. Something that the Pommies literally aren't used to. They're used to miserable, wet weather.
Well, they don't get many hot days, but hopefully...
But their hot days is like 26 degrees.
Yeah, like I said, they treat anything above 30 as a heat wave. We just call that summer.
No, they call that a massive heat wave. Anyway, we stop ripping you poor buggers off.
It is now round 1 of the Betfred Super League, literally this week.
Yes. Well, it seems like yesterday we're kicking off with Castleford and all that previews. But
it only feels like a couple of months ago I was in Manchester watching the World Cup final, and here we are with a fresh round of rugby league to kick into. So, season opener sees the Warrington Wolves play host to last year's grand finalists, the Leeds Rhinos.
Well, depending on what Warrington side we'll get is depending on how well this one will go down.
Well, Daryl Powell's already got a blow, obviously. It can't be a Warrington preview without noting something going wrong, and that is Josh Maguire being handed a this was a grade F charge from his hit out against Lee, but he will not be featuring in round 1. And I think for the next 6 rounds after that as well. I think it's like grade F sanction at the match review committee, and I think it incurred maybe a 5 or 6 game ban.
Nothing's changed from when he was over here in NRL.
Nope, certainly has. I mean, red carded during the trial match against Lee and slapped for oblivion with a grade F charge. That's just not what Warrington needed with a fresh season just not that far away.
No, it's not, but he deserves it if he got slapped with a grade F, so that's what he gets, really. But it sucks for the rest of the team trying to pick up the scraps for what you say the first 6 weeks of without him there to see how they go. But it's a bit of a blow because he was I wouldn't say a good signing for him, but it adds that experience and force into the attack and defense. More the defense than the attack, though.
Yeah, it's just not a good thing to have one of your marquee recruits of your overseas pool get red carded not long before the campaign's due to kick off.
Yes, it's not, but that's really Maguire's own fault for doing it to himself, really.
Yeah, it would seem to be the case. On the other hand of it, we'll get to see potentially Josh Drinkwater and George Williams link up for the first time, and of course Stefan Ratchford run out leading the wire with the number 4 on his back.
Interesting to see that.
Yes, certainly is. Meantime, Leeds Rhinos, Aiden Caesar got very lucky that he escaped without a ban from the match review committee, and he will be free to potentially partner Blake Austin in the halves as well. Leeds Rhinos, a bit of a changing of the guard. Of course, Cameron Smith now inheriting the number 13 in jumper. Only the 3rd man in the Super League era to be wearing the 13 jumper.
Wonder why that is. Everyone says there's a conspiracy theory saying number 13 is an unlucky number. Well, is that the case for Cameron Smith, or is it going to be a lucky charm for him?
Well, considering it was the number worn by Kevin Sinfield for the longest time, and he won practically 7 grand finals throughout his entire career, I wouldn't necessarily say wearing the 13 in your back's unlucky.
No, it seems to be lucky, so let's hope that continues for Cameron Smith in the Leeds lineup.
Of course, there will be that question of whether Nene McDonald will be fit enough, given the Leeds' lack of quality centres, or centre depth, I should say.
Yeah, it's not very deep there, but they might recruit in season, like mid-season, and do like a loan deal or a
or gamble by playing Daryl Alford's in the centres, even though he's only had one start there.
Yeah, true, but he could be well and truly capable to start and play at centres.
So I'm just double checking everything in regarding that. It was for dissent in the loss to the Leeds Leopards.
What, Josh McGuire?
Yeah, red
So
card,
mouthing
grade
off.
F.
Mouthing off. Which doesn't
Which
surprise me
could
either way.
Well, he hasn't been charged with a six-game ban and yet, but he claims it wasn't anything racial or homophobic. This in the Mirror article at the moment that he says he's still intending to fight the charge, which is a grade F, unacceptable language. So it seems he was sent off, but charged the pair. Well, this is him and Tom Amone from the Leopards, charged with verbal abuse based on race, color, religion, gender, sexual preference, disability, ethnic origin, or any other form of unacceptable behavior or language.
So basically anything political or that's pretty much it.
So we won't know until tomorrow whether he will get off for this. This is because the team sheets don't come out until we are in bed and we're long past us finished recording this. So let's just focus on the game itself. What would be the one thing Leeds need to do right to get the win here?
Continue on their form from the grand final and really start off the season strong and carry that momentum that they had back in 2022 into 2023 and try and keep them in the top half of the ladder all season long instead of going back down and biting their way back up.
For me, the key is how will Stefan Ratchford do defensively as a centre? He spent the majority of his career playing fullback. He has played a little bit of centre before, but he's going to have to practically transition there full time, considering on the other side, he's probably marking up against both Harry Newman and David Fuzatua for the opening clash.
That is very
true.
true.
I would expect Austin, Fuzatua, and Newman to be throwing their entire weight down that right-hand side. Of course, Leeds got their own trouble with James Bentley as well. Whether or not he actually plays, but because the RFL doesn't necessarily proceed with the same integrity unit like we do here in Australia, it might as well be possible Bentley plays in round one.
Possibly.
That kerfuffle in post-World Cup.
Possibly. I don't think he will be, but who knows? I think Luck will be charged. I think he'll just be able to be free to play on.
Yeah, but I think the Leeds Rhinos will win in the opening game of the season, as you said, and starting fresh, host the grand final loss. I think they'll look to target Warrington's left side defensively. You got Manny Ashton, Stefan Ratchford, Josh Drinkwater, a new side edge defensively, so I think they'll be looking to press their advantage down that side. I think Leeds win the opening game of the season, 7 points to 12.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Leeds, I think, will be too strong for Warrington, and depending on what Warrington side we get, which I think...
Slow to start, I think.
Yeah.
I think they did beat Leeds in the opening game last year they played, but I don't think it'll work out for them this time.
No.
Now, of course, St. Helens versus the Huddersfield Giants has been postponed until further notice due to the fact that Saints will be playing in the World Club Challenge this Saturday evening local time. So we move on to the next game, Wakefield Trinity up against the Catalan Dragons.
Well, we can pretty much not go into much detail of this game because we know what the result's going to be. But
we still
preview
have to
is
give
a
Wakefield
preview.
The credits
Yes.
that they are still here. They managed to fight. Fresh start again, unfortunately. Mark Applegarth now in charge of Wakefield Trinity.
So they got through what? 3 coaches in 2 years?
Well, they started
included
out with
this year.
Chris Chester. They got rid of him around about 2021. Then they moved on to Willie Poaching for last year. Now it's Mark Applegarth.
Yeah,
so
so
it's practically 3 coaches in 3 years. It's not a good turnover there.
No, it's certainly not. But, I mean, the form that Wakefield had at the back end of last season looked promising. And they did that at the end of 2021 as well.
But that's the thing. End of the season. Top 6 way out of reach for them. Fighting to survive. I want to see Wakefield, if they are genuine contenders, which I don't think they are.
No.
A couple of decisions, position-wise, I think Lewis Murphy, George Defua, it'll be very interesting to see who will be playing on their preferred side of the field.
I'd say it probably will be Lewis Murphy, to be quite honest with you. He was getting very comfortable in that position last year, and you just saw how well he was going at the back end of last season. So I'd say they'll prioritise him in his preferred spot over George Tafua, who's coming in from over here in Australia.
Of course, the Catalan Dragons have their own worries as well. Of course, Fuad Yaha did his shoulder, I believe, in the preseason, so he'll be ruled out for up to 5 months.
Ooh, that's not going to help Catalans at all.
Fortunately, it does simplify the equation of fitting 3 wingers into 2 spots. So, of course, Tom Davis will more than likely line up on the right wing, and Tom Johnston will now take that spot on the left flank with Yaha sideline for practically half the campaign.
Yeah, which is very unfortunate because he's a solid player for Catalans, but so like Davies and he's a solid player within himself too, and he can produce some wonderful tries as well. So see how that goes for him. But missing Yaha, they'll have to get a few games under their belt to feel their way around without Yaha.
I think the big thing will be trying to find the right foil for Mitchell Pearce, but I think most importantly, Catalan need to have worked on their discipline in the off-season.
Yes.
After they got bundled out of that semi-final by the Leeds, I know, elimination final, I should say. But they can't afford to let their temper get the better of their playing ability.
No, they certainly don't, but they haven't got Dylan Napa there anymore.
No, they let him go.
They let him go. So that would help a fair bit too because he was out a lot due to his discipline.
Well, it means less red cards, to be quite fair, but
Yeah.
it's a loss of stiffness in the middle. So
Yeah.
that is why
But
they've
also-
actually named Mike McMeekin in the number 8 jumper.
But they lost Gil Dudson as well.
Well, I think they're banking on more young French talent coming through, which I think is a good thing. To
Yes.
bring Taiki Chan is a good example of that. He's now promoted to a full-time contract, albeit as for this season alone, but good opportunity nevertheless.
An opportunity is opportunity. You just take it with 2 hands. You play like it's your last game because you don't know if you're going to get opportunities again down the track.
I think what you'll have with Catalan is there will be a stronger element of continuity in this that even though that they've lost pretty much players that have been key for them and within the last couple of years that led to good success, I think Steve McNamara is now starting to build a good foundation moving forward towards the 2025 Rugby League World Cup in France and developing the next generation of young French talent coming through. I think Catalan, they will win this off the back of their dynamic forward pack, and Artur Morg, whether he's off the bench or even filling in at fullback for Sam Tompkins, I think he'll step up here and basically guide the Dragons around the park alongside Mitchell Pearce. 7-12 win for Catalan.
Well, honestly, like I was saying in the preview, when we did a preview however many weeks ago now, but, and I just said, no Gil Dudson, no Sam Cassiano, am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, Cassiano signed with Warrington.
Yes. Dudson's gone, Cassiano's gone, Napa's gone, Yaha's out. It does open the door for Wakefield to have I'm not going to say decent crack, but I'll give him a crack at Catalans. But I'm going to call this my first upset of the season. I'm going to say Wakefield to win this one 1-6.
So one that says the Frenchmen to get off to a good start in round 1. The other one that says the relegation favourites. Well, talk about the polar opposite right there. But
That's my first upset for the season.
Now, second game on Sky Sports takes us to the Lee Sports Village. The newly promoted Leopards up against Paul Rowley's surprise semi-final Salford.
Promoted and rebranded.
Yes, promoted and rebranded. Tom Amone also in hot water over that at grade F charge we were talking about with Josh Maguire. So there's questions of whether he'll be starting the season off.
Well, if he getting in hot water like Josh Maguire is, well, then I highly doubt he will play.
Regardless, yeah. 6-game ban, probably 5 for him as well.
It'll be probably the fair same what do you call it, suspension as Josh Maguire will get.
We'll see how that pans out. Now, Adrian Lamb has assembled a side that has practically been bought. Or it's practically, you would not recognise half of the faces in that Lee side that took the field last year, but considering 10 of them had just been bought in fresh. How do you think they will manage to handle or bring them together this quickly.
Well, Adrian Lamb is a pretty solid coach. We know what he's quite capable of. So he knows what he's doing.
You think you know what he's
You
doing with
think
this?
but they're not going to get off to an absolute blinder of a start. Put it that way. There's going to take a few games to settle in, get the rhythm going. Like all clubs across the start of a few seasons, get the rhythm going, but especially like the Lee Leopards, getting used to the Super League intensity again.
I think they're pretty much used to that intensity, considering that every couple of years they've been able to get back into it.
But having 10 new faces too that probably aren't probably that experienced in the Super League.
Experience? What we're talking? Hardacre, Briscoe, Lutelli, Ollie Holmes, Jack Hughes, who's played in grand finals, both winning and losing for Wigan and Warrington.
Okay, I'll take that back then. But they need to get used. The other
it's
players.
Combinations. It is simply just down to combinations, and with practically half a team being brought in. Salford, on the other hand, you've got injury concerns up the wazoo.
Yes, unfortunately we do.
So what is it? You got no Briley, no Sargentson. I think I heard last time out. I think at least 7 players still missing. How are you going to field a side at this point, or a competitive side at that?
Well, I honestly don't know, and it's not a good start to what I was hoping for. I was hoping to have a near full strength side with an injury or two here and there, and coming off the 80 minutes away from the grand final, I thought, this is going to be good. I'm not going to say this is our year, because I'm not a Parramatta supporter. But I'm being realistic. I thought we were going to be a lot less injury prone to what we are at the moment. But as last season saw, we kind of didn't get up to the best of starts, but then we come back well at the end of the season. So, realistically, I'd like to say us, but if we can build a side, that is, will be the waiting game there.
So far you've also missing Callum Watkins as well. This was back in November due to the Examiner. There's at least probably a couple of others in there as well. But I think on the surface level, one would think that even with home crowd advantage, Salford would have the confidence factor behind them.
Yes. You think so?
And I think if Brodie Croft gets even a sniff, as we've seen in games prior, like against in Magic against Huddersfield, all he needs is a sniff and he can turn the game quickly on its head.
Oh, bloody oath he can.
I think Salford come out swinging 13-20 over the Leopards.
Just before I say mine, but there is good news to help bolster our pack at the eve of it.
Jack Allendroyd signing a new 3-year contract extension on top of Brodie Croft's 7-year contract extension.
So that's good news heading into the start of the season.
Yeah, it's always a confidence booster. Now can Croft back it up from his Man of Steel heroics last year?
Of course I'm going to say yes, he can. He, as I said, he didn't really have the best of times in NRL. But he's got, he played well, but not well, but, not so well. But he's gone over to Super League, revived his career, and he's, first year in Super League and 1 Man of Steel. So that's pretty solid. I'm going to have to back my boys Salford to win this one 7-12.
All right, now moving over to the Sewell Group Craven Park. Hull KR up against the Wigan Warriors in the first Channel 4 game of the year.
Well, we know what, again, pretty much like the Catlands Wakefield matchup. We know where this one's going to go. Although, I think this one...
Not necessarily.
I was just going to say, although Hull KR might have more of a chance of actually winning than what Wakefield do.
We got to remember, the last time the Robins played Wigan, they actually ended up stunning them, if my memory serves me correctly.
Or was that not at the back end of last season when Wigan were probably resting most of the players?
Be a full-strength Wigan side. I'm just doing that late-minute research. Double check things for you, but these things do have to be fact-checked.
Yes, otherwise we'll get bombarded with comments across our socials
But yes, round 26, 38-28. The Robins ended up winning that one.
So yeah, it was pretty much half-strength Wigan side. Am I right? It was that late in the season. Yeah, well, there you go.
But still,
I was actually right for once.
A win is a win, nevertheless. But
yes, but whole KR season was gone by then. No, sorry, no, it wasn't. They were still fighting.
Mid-table, they were roughly mid-table,
they were fighting
but
to
not
make a
in an
spot.
exact position to get in there.
Yeah, but they were still there in case Salford or Castleford and that fell through.
But the good news for Warriors fans, I think Liam Farrell will be fit for this one, or he probably is already back, having spent a bit of time on the sideline at the end of last year. How do you think they'll get on, considering John Bateman practically walked out on them a couple of months before the season kicks off?
Well, that's definitely going to put a dent in their side because they weren't planning on that happening. But I still reckon they'll be a strong side. They'll recover from it pretty quickly and get off to a flying start.
Field versus Eildon French, that combination lit up the competition last year. Can they get off to a quick start this time round?
Yes, I think they certainly can.
Well, I think Wigan have, first and foremost, the best all-round side in the comp. Never mind the fact that their closest and most arch rivals, the four-time reigning champions out here, are probably the best overall. They've got the best side verbatim at this point. Yep. Like, all-round backline, quality forward pack, but Wigan's backline in particular.
And
number one.
Yeah. As this really gives too, with St. Helens being out here, this kind of gives everyone, I know the game's going to get made up, this kind of gets a bit of a head start on everyone else, like, you know. Like if Wigan is definitely going to go for the league leader shield to try and take away from St. Helens, this will be a perfect opportunity to do it without them there straight away.
Or trying to get fired up and into a good rhythm as they have done for the last 4 years.
St. Helens will be back for round 2, I believe.
Yep.
So, but I know it's only one game, but give St. Helens will be a little bit of jet lag, like you've mentioned before. So give them a couple of games to settle back into the England climate and all that. But this is the perfect opportunity for Wigan to get off to a perfect start.
I agree. I think the Warriors win this 13-20.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. If they want to take the league leaders, they have to win this one and try to push on for that while St. Helens are coming back, back over.
This is no disrespect to Hull KR, who have caused a handful of upsets over the last couple of years. But this Wigan side is something else completely, and I don't think in terms of caliber, speed, and quality, they can match that toe-to-toe.
No, not at all.
And finally, to round out round 1 with only 5 games, we're over at the MKM Stadium in Hull a day later for Hull FC up against the Castleford Tigers.
Hull FC will be obviously looking to start strong considering how their season was last year, but without a few players like Jake Connor.
And it gets even worse for them. Of course, no Jake Truman, obviously, but apparently there's at least a couple of other players, Jamie Shaw, Connor Wynn, and their new skipper, Carlos Tumavave, who's said to be touch and go.
Yeah, it's not a really good side if you want your skipper touch and go, or even all those key players as well. Because we know how well they were going last season in a side that was like absolutely nowhere last season. But to have those players out round 1, that's really not a good start whatsoever. They need to have a full strength side ready to go around 1 to try and revive revive the pride in the emblem and jersey and give back to the fans of what they suffered through last season.
As well as not having Carlos Tumavave, Andre Savelio is touch and go to be fit as well. So already a couple of readjustments. Of course, you'll be looking at a spine. Hoy, McNamara, Clifford, Houghton starting if they don't go with Brad Dwyer first up.
Yeah.
Joe Cater will probably actually get a bit of a run. He's had a bit of an injury-disrupted time as well. So if Andre Savelio is not fit, I could probably easily see him sliding into loose for Jordan Lane somewhere in the back row with Josh Griffin.
Potentially some debutants.
Maybe a couple. Besides the new signings.
Yes, besides Hoy, Clifford and the likes, but a couple of debutants from the Hull FC juniors.
Well, we'll see what pans out. Again, the squads haven't been aimed for round 1, and they won't be aimed while we're doing them, so
no.
Let's wait and see. Castleford, meanwhile, sort of an interesting decision to make. Widdop at 5'8" for fullback, do you reckon?
Good question. He's played a lot of 5'8" in his career. He has started off with his career at fullback, but I believe he'll be at 5'8".
So you reckon he will be there? at fullback. Sorry, at 5'8",
5'8".
partnering Jacob Miller in the halves.
Yes. I reckon having Widdop alongside Miller and halves. Miller is a young gun coming through. Was at, I believe, Wakefield last season.
No, he's more of an old head.
Oh.
The cornerstone.
But who was I getting mixed up with Miller then? At Wakefield.
That's what I'd like to know exactly.
Oh no, there was some young kid that was playing in the halves at Wakefield last year. But having Widdop's experience, I know you said Miller's pretty experienced, but having Widdop there will help him that little bit more. Widdop's been around the game long enough to know what it's like. Coming into a new side like Castleford, who just missed out on the playoffs last season, they'll be hoping that he can bolster them up that ladder. Well, not bolster them, but pick them up from that ladder and carry that, pick them up that little bit and push them that little bit further into the playoffs of this season.
Well, I've just brought up Castleford's last hit out, and this was a massive win for them against the Huddersfield Giants. I believe it was for Nathan Massey's testimonial. Ash running out 48-10 winners over the Giants. They had Widdop lining up at standoff and Paul McShane partnered in the halves for that one. So maybe that is the indication that you're right, and Widdop will line up in the halves. Niall Evans stays at fullback, and your man, Jack Broadbent.
Yes, my man, Jack Broadbent. He will be definitely starting. I hope he has a good, solid season for him.
Now, we have said in the past, Castleford have tripped up a lot against Hull FC, but I don't think with all the players missing out of Tony Smith's first crack at wearing the black and white, it's going to end well for him. I think the Tigers will come out swinging 7-12 here, out at the MKM Stadium, and hopefully try and get Lee Radford a bit more ease of mind after the last couple of years.
Well, I'm going to say Castleford will win this one, but to... what did you say, 7-12? I'm going to say 13-20. I'm going to say... I've already said Widdop start at 5'8", but he'll probably take control of the game, produce 3 try assists, force a goal line dropout, and score a try of his own.
Well, that's pretty bold. You're going for predicting of statistics.
I don't usually, but I reckon Widdop will have a blinder in his first game for Castleford.
All right. So on that note, it is full time from us for the week. If you like this is part of the Sideline Chat podcast, or the one we just recorded a little bit earlier, make sure you click that subscribe button, hit that hit the like button while you're there as well. Click the bell for notifications so you never miss a week of rugby league. Don't forget to give us a follow on our social media pages on Facebook and on Instagram. It is at Sideline Chat, and on Twitter it is Sideline Chat RL, and our main hashtag is SideChatYT. Hope you enjoyed the World Club Challenge coming your way this weekend, and good luck to all sides involved for round 1 of the Betfred Super League. And we'll be back next week with the week 2 debrief and the final part of the NRL preview series. Who will face the Panthers in the grand final? Find out next week. Along with Mark Hendry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat podcast. We'll see you next week.